Hello everyone and welcome to your first AutoCAD tutorial. This one's extremely important in creating a foundation so that you can continue to make projects going forward and learning the basic tools. We're going to start out by opening our Intro to Basic Commands activity. If you haven't already done so, it should look something like this, with lots of blank objects here on the right and your commands down here on the left. If you scroll on your mouse, you can zoom in and out, and then if you press the scroll on your mouse, you can pan your screen like this, and then you will see that we've got several commands that we're going to be working with throughout this video. Make sure up here at the top that you're in the 2D option instead of the 3D. So your 3D doesn't have all of the commands that we're looking for. It's a little more cluttered. So we're going to switch over to 2D, and this should be all that we need for right now. We do have commands up here along the top. However, I don't really use them. I like to type in everything in the command bar, but you're welcome to look for these if you want to. It will just take you more time looking for commands versus just typing in what you need. I'm going to minimize all of these commands like this, just so that I have a larger screen to work with. So I'm going to start out by left clicking in my command bar and typing the letter L for a line, and then you'll see that line pops up. We're just going to press enter, and then I'm going to scroll in so I can zoom and look at this line command that I need. So this one wants me to draw a line between this point and this point, so I'm going to hover over the one on the left and left click and release, and then move my mouse over to the second dot, left click and release, and you will see that it drew a line, and now I have this line hanging on. So if you right click, that will escape that command, and then I'm going to scoot over. If you press the L again and press enter, we'll be back in our line command. We're going to draw a line from this to this. You'll see some things snapping into place. That's what those O snaps were that we created in the previous video. So clicking on the top, left click release, and then coming down to the bottom dot, left click release, and you will see that I have that tail again. I'm going to right click. That's another way of pressing enter. We set that up in the previous video as well, but that cancels that command. Quicker way to finish these things, now that we have set up our settings in the previous video, if you right click again, it's just going to repeat the previous command. So since I did a line over here, whenever I right click, it's going to repeat that line command. So then I only have to left click here, release, left click here, release, and then right click to escape that command, pan over here, right click to repeat that line command, left click release, left click release, right click to escape, right click to repeat, left click release, left click release, right click to escape. And then we zoom out and we quickly created our first section for our line commands here. Okay, our next command is our polyline. This is a line that is connected at each point. It creates one line all the way around no matter how many times you click, whereas creating it with individual lines keeps those lines separate. So imagine a polyline is more like a string that's connected, and a line is more like trying to make a line with spaghetti, individual sections. So our polyline command is PL, press enter, and we're going to connect these points to create a box. So I'm going to left click here and release, left click here and release, left click release, left click release, left click release, and then right click to escape that command. One more time so we're familiar with the command itself. PL is your shortcut for polyline, and then press enter. And then we're going to work our way around these points again, left clicking and releasing at each point, left clicking and releasing, and then right click to escape. Remember, you can right click to repeat the previous command, and then left click around until you close off the box. right click to escape, right click to repeat, and then left click around. Again, since we turned those O snaps on in our settings in the previous video, it snaps to these points super easily. And then our last one is going to be this figure here, working our way around the shape. And now you have created your second row using the polyline command. You'll see this third row here looks very similar in that we are connecting each of these corners. However, this time we're just going to use the line command, the same command we used up here in our top section. We'll use the L and press enter, and then work our way around those corners just like before. Right clicking to escape, right clicking to repeat, and closing each of these off. And then once we finish this row, we'll look at the difference between the polyline and the regular line command. Feel free to pause or replay any of the things if I went too fast, like this. Now, if we're looking here, you can see that if I left click on this shape, it only selects this edge. Press escape to get out of that. Whereas if I left click here, it selects the entire shape. Press escape to deselect them. You can also, if you make a mistake or anything, you can left click to select it and then just press delete. Actually, no, you can't. I take that back. My apologies. You cannot do that in AutoCAD. We have some ways to delete things, but that is not it. We do have a delete command. My apologies. We'll get to there in a second. Okay, so now we are at fillet. Fillet's going to help us close off these corners without having to draw them ourselves. Our command for fillet starts with an F, and you'll see that that pops up. We'll press enter. And then looking down here, if you're ever confused about what you want to do, you see you have options here. So we want to select the first object, which is this, and then we want to select the second object, which is this, to close it off. So I'll show you that again. We're going to right click to repeat that command or type F, enter. Here's our first one, and then here's our second. Right click to repeat, click our first option, and then click your second. Right click to repeat if you want to, right click to cancel that again. So if I want to repeat it, again, you'll see looking down here at the bottom, we're selecting our first object. And then you can also give it a radius if you wanted to, but we're just going to select the second one. But if you wanted to round these edges, you could, but I don't have any specified dimensions for you. If you're welcome to play around with it if you would like to. But you could give it a radius instead of giving it a corner. Notice how it'll round that depending on what you click on. But we just want to close these boxes off and create some nice squares. This is a really great tool to have. If you have some gaps happening in your drawing, it'll save you a lot of time. And also, like, it extends a line instead of creating a new line, which can be a mess if you have too many individual lines. If you want to close off your objects looking like this using your fillet command, just selecting those lines, and it'll create that endpoint for you. All right, now we are off to our offset command. The offset command is O, enter, and again, if you forget what to do, how the command works, just read what the command bar says. It says specify the offset distance. This one says 1, so we want our distance to be 1 foot. So 1 apostrophe is 1 foot. And then we press enter, and then we want to select the objects. And then specify our direction. So we want it to go outward, and then you just click. So I'll show you that again. Control Z will undo it. So if we do O, enter, and we want our distance to be 1 apostrophe for 1 foot, enter, and then you want to select your corners. So you can only do one at a time. So 1, and then left click, left click, left click, left click, left click, like that. And then here you could use the fillet command to connect these corners if you wanted to. You can see though that this object was drawn with a line instead of a polyline, which is why you have these gaps here. We're going to do the same thing over here, offset inward this time with the 4 inches. So O is our command. We want our distance to be 4, and then your quotation for inches, enter, select the object. You want to left click there, and then left click inward, left click here, left click inward, left click here, left click inward, and left click here and left click inward. You'll see here, again, this was made with just a traditional line instead of a polyline, which is why you have these things crossing here on the inside. To repeat that command, we just right click, and then we don't have a distance, so we're just going to right click again, and then we're going to choose our circle, and then you can kind of pick how you want it to go. We want it to go outward, so like that. Just drag your mouse outward. And then we'll do the same thing for these two. Right click, select your shape, and then we're going inward. Sorry, I've clicked too many times. Left click inward, left click inward, left click inward, and then right click to escape, and then right click again. And then you can select your shape. So this one we're going outward, and then go out. And so you can see the difference here. This shape here was made with a polyline, whereas this one was made with individual lines. You can see it creates those gaps here automatically if you do it with a polyline, whereas over here with just your basic line, you have to do each individual line separately. So right clicking to escape or cancel that command and zooming out. So we're a little less than halfway done. So bear with me. Feel free to pause the video and come back to it later. Next, we're going to do some mirroring. We're going to mirror these two boxes over this line here and pop them. They'll pop into these two boxes here. So our mirror command is MI. Just an M will move it. MI is your mirror command, and press enter. And then we want to select our two boxes, and then we'll use this as our mirror line. So we want all of this. So you can click, hold, and drag your mouse and create this little selection box here and select everything there like that. If it's the blue box, it will grab anything that it encompasses, so anything inside of it. Whereas if it's the green box, it will grab anything it touches. As you can see here, the difference. It only grabs it if it's completely in the blue box. It'll grab anything that the green box touches. So we just want to grab this. And then we're going to press enter, and then we want to specify our first point. Here's our first point. Here's our second point. And then it's going to ask, do we want to erase the source object? And we do not want to. So you can select no, or you can select, if you select yes, you'll see it does that. I'll show you again. Control Z to undo. So MI for mirror, selecting these, both of these using my blue selection tool, left click and drag to highlight them. right click, and then we're clicking the top of the red and the bottom of the red. And then do we want to erase them? Yes or no. If you press enter, it will automatically select no, leaving your original things there. Okay, now we're going to draw some circles. Several different ways we can draw circles, so just pay attention to what the bottom says. The first one, we need a radius of 6 inches. C is your command for circle, enter. And then we want to specify our center point, and then you'll see it says specify radius down here at the bottom, specify radius or select diameter. So this one's asking for a radius, so we just want to type in 6 in your quotation and press enter, and it'll draw you a circle with a 6-inch radius. Same thing over here, so C, enter, select your center point, and then we want to type 9 and then your quote for 9 inches. Same thing for the next one. You can press enter to repeat. We need a radius of 1 foot this time instead of 1 inch. So type 1 apostrophe, you get 1 foot. And then this one, notice it says diameter. So we're going to repeat that command again, press the center point, and then instead we're going to type D, enter for diameter, and then the diameter we want it to be 3 foot, so 3 apostrophe, like that. And then our last one is going to be a radius of 2. So repeat that command, press that center point, and then type 2 feet and press enter. So we're halfway done. We'll pause here for now, and then I'll be back with the second half of the video in a bit.